High in the golden meadows of Mount Olympus, where spring's melodies danced with the scent of blooming flowers, lived Persephone, daughter of Demeter, goddess of the harvest. Her radiance reflected the life her mother nurtured, embodying purity and innocence. She was untouched by divine desires or mortal struggles, her laughter a reminder of untainted beauty. This purity, however, caught the gaze of Hades, the somber ruler of the underworld, who had long endured solitude, his heart untouched by joy. Hades had seen Persephone before, but on this day, as sunlight framed her form and her laughter reached his shadowed realm, his desire hardened into resolve. He decided she would be his queen. The earth trembled as it split beneath Persephone's feet. Before she or her companions could react, Hades emerged in his midnight chariot, an eclipse in the meadow's brightness. He seized her hand, pulling her into the chariot. The ground closed behind them, silencing her cry. In the underworld, Persephone's light dimmed under the weight of her new reality. Hades, though not cruel, carried centuries of longing in his weary gaze, yet his shadowed realm stifled the goddess who had known only the sunlit skies. Above, Demeter's heart shattered. Her daughter, her joy, was gone. In despair, she cursed the earth with the grip of winter. Fields withered, flowers refused to bloom, and life halted. Wandering endlessly in search of her child, Demeter's grief plunged the mortal world into stasis. Hades, too, felt the weight of his actions. Though his realm thrived in death's stillness, it paled against the vitality Persephone brought. Her sorrow haunted him, even as she became his queen. Thus began the tale of a goddess torn between two worlds, a grieving mother and a god wrestling with the consequences of desire. It was a moment where light and shadow collided, sowing seeds of change not just for the gods, but for the mortal world as well. The meadows fell silent, rivers slowed, and the sun faltered in its ride. Demeter, goddess of the earth and harvest, wandered the mortal world, consumed by grief. Her once golden hair dulled, and her radiant gaze, warm as sunlit fields, faded to sorrow. Persephone's disappearance shattered her, leaving the land she nurtured barren. Day and night, Demeter roamed, her tears soaking the earth, and her steps leaving wastelands behind. Flowers withered at her touch, crops failed, and a biting cold crept across the land. Mortals, reliant on her blessings, watched helplessly as winter spread, unyielding and relentless. Her anguish turned to fury. "Who has taken my daughter?" she demanded of the heavens, her voice like a storm. The gods, fearing her wrath, stayed silent. Desperate, Demeter sought Hecate, goddess of magic and crossroads, under the moon's pale light. Cloaked in mystery, Hecate revealed, "I have heard her cries from deep within the earth, a place no god or mortal willingly goes." Armed with this truth, Demeter turned to Helios, the all-seeing sun god. Standing at dawn on the highest peak, she pleaded, "Helios, tell me where Persephone has been taken." With a heavy sigh, Helios confessed. It was Hades. He claimed her as his queen, and she now dwells in his shadowed kingdom. Grief hardened into cold fury. Demeter cursed the earth, withholding its bounty. "If my daughter remains in darkness, so shall this world," she declared. "No seed shall sprout, no flower bloom, no fruit ripen until Persephone is returned." The curse struck immediately. Rivers froze, snow blanketed fields, and mortals prayed in vain for relief. Even Zeus, the king of the gods, could no longer ignore the devastation. Yet Demeter, unmoved by his pleas, remained resolute. Only Persephone's return mattered. The frozen world mirrored Demeter's unyielding sorrow. Her relentless search for her daughter brought life to a standstill, her love binding the fate of gods and mortals alike to her grief. Winter's icy grip froze both the mortal world and the heavens, leaving Zeus no choice but to act. Mortals starved, prayers faded, and Demeter's wrath threatened all existence. Summoning Hermes, Zeus decreed, "Go to the Underworld. Tell Hades he must release Persephone, for the world cannot survive without her." Hermes descended to the shadowed underworld, gliding over the river Styx as Charon's boat drifted below. In the dark palace, Hades sat upon his throne with Persephone at his side. Though still beautiful, her glow had dimmed, her laughter silenced. "Hades," Hermes began, his voice firm. "Zeus commands Persephone's return. The earth withers under Demeter's grief, and creation suffers." Hades' eyes darkened. "She is my queen," he said, his tone a mix of defiance and sorrow. "In her presence, my realm thrives as it never has. Without her, I return to the desolation of my solitude." Persephone turned to Hermes, longing for the sunlight she hadn't seen since her abduction. Yet, when she looked at Hades, understanding flickered in her eyes. She saw the depth of his loneliness and the fragile affection he bore for her. As negotiations unfolded, Hades, ever cunning, made his move. He offered Persephone a pomegranate, its seeds glistening like drops of blood. "Taste," he said softly, "a gift from my realm." She ate a few seeds, unaware, or perhaps resigned to, their binding power. When Hermes prepared to take Persephone back, Hades revealed, "She has eaten the fruit of the underworld. By ancient law, she is bound to this place and cannot fully leave." The revelation forced a delicate compromise. Persephone would spend part of the year in the underworld as Hades' queen, and the rest above with her mother. Her journey would mark the seasons, her descent bringing winter's stillness, her return awakening spring's vitality. When Persephone emerged from the underworld, Demeter's joy transformed the barren earth. Flowers bloomed where her feet touched, and the snow melted under her radiant smile. But each time she returned to Hades, Demeter's grief plunged the world into winter's frost. The story of Persephone and Hades became a timeless symbol of nature's cycles, the inevitability of change, and the balance between life and death. It reflected the world the Greeks knew, where winter's barrenness gave way to spring's vitality, reminding them of the sacrifices that underpin renewal. Persephone's descent into the underworld was not merely a loss, but a necessary stillness before growth. As she walked Hades' shadowed halls, Demeter's sorrow blanketed the earth in frost. Barren fields and bare trees echoed their separation, a testament to a mother's love. Yet just as snow preserves the ground, Persephone's journey prepared the earth for abundance. Her return each spring brought life bursting forth, a gift to gods and mortal, and a promise that despair yields to new beginnings. Her cycle mirrored human existence. To the Greeks, Persephone taught that death was not an end, but a transformation. The underworld was not eternal darkness, but a stage in life's cycle. As queen of the dead and harbinger of spring, Persephone embodied the unity of life and death, each giving the other meaning. This myth shaped rituals and festivals honoring Demeter and Persephone. The Eleusinian mysteries celebrated their story, guiding initiates through symbolic death and rebirth. These rites offered comfort, reminding participants that Persephone's return promised renewal not only for the earth but for the soul. Even in winter's depths, her story offered hope. The long nights and cold were seen not as despair but transition. The Greeks found wisdom in the gods' weaving of Persephone's fate into existence. Her life in two worlds, the dark and the light, showed that suffering and joy, loss and renewal, are intertwined. Through Persephone's fate, the seasons were born, and their lessons remain timeless. The earth turns, life renewed, and we, like the goddess, move between light and darkness, dancing to the rhythm of existence.